Alright, we're back with yet another episode of Great Ace Attorney 2. Even though it's only the second episode, but whatever. We don't talk about that. So anyways, before I start, I just want to kind of talk a little bit about what I've been doing. So I downloaded this app on my phone called Bitcoin Miner. And this is different from the other one that I downloaded like about a month ago. This one's actually really kind of cool because it's a lot like Cookie Clicker, where you start out with like one building, and then you get a bunch of currency, and then you buy the next thing. So like if y'all like Cookie Clicker and you maybe want to make like a little bit of money on the side, like maybe a couple bucks, I recommend getting this app. It's actually pretty fun. I've just been kind of doing it the past day or so. Just kind of looking down at it and clicking whenever ads aren't on the screen. Because that's the great thing. Since I don't really use my phone that much to begin with, I'm always like doing shit on my PC. So like, I just like play the game a little bit, and then when an ad comes on, then I just get back to working on my PC again. So it actually doesn't really matter all that much. So, yeah. If you guys are curious about it, though, I could give my code out for anybody that cares. Because if you input a code, you get like bonuses and stuff. And I don't know if the code has to be re-randomized every time or what, but let me find it real quick. So if you guys are interested, my code is CQRPMK. And if you input that, you get some currency for the game. Why not? It's basically a referral code. And I was thinking about maybe plugging some more of those codes because, it's a win-win for everybody. You get a little bit of money, I get a little bit of money. And, if you want to start your freaking crypto mining journey, you can do that. I mean, I know a lot of people are looked down upon that shit, but that's just because they're, impatient bastards who want to make a quick buck. I'm looking to like, invest for a couple of years, so I'll probably like consider advertising a little bit more. But anyways, enough of that. Let's continue the second trial, or well, the second game's first trial, I should say. Forgot how slow I made the text move. Is that normal?
I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin. Ray.
You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone.
No, that's not it at all. I... I was just... I was scared of my failure coming to light, that's all. So I helped to retrieve the substance from the Englishwoman before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence, that you'd stand by me to the last. I remember. And yet, I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato. I deserve it. No, in fact, throw me to the floor. No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets. I'm no better, you know. Oh? Even though in my heart I knew you'd pull the knife blade from Miss Brett's back, there was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato? I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I'd stand by you and always be on your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer. Oh, no.
I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task.
Yes, Father. That fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now. So, Ray. Yes? Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Oh, Ray.
Wholesome.
I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The English one was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying.
I knew it was you who stole the poison. Well now, whatever do you mean? Anyway, I read that a bit, and then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Dead.
Before collapsing on the floor in front of me, with a knife in her back.
Dang, burps.
It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only people in the hut at the time? That's right. Just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So, I just don't understand how she could have possibly been stabbed like that.
There's a secret agent. A great mystery indeed.
I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up.
So she's all lost for words, essentially.
It'll be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day, I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you say and saw is true.
Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure that we have our facts in order.
Yes, I expect the poison's going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory-synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see.
Yes, without the chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin.
Chemical reagent?
I sent a colleague of mine off with some earlier to deliver to police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, though, just in case. Alright, we got the chemical reagent. A special indicator solution for a new poison under development by my father's team. It's been created in strict secrecy and exists only in my father's laboratory. Well, that does make me wonder, why the fuck would you want to make a poison like that in the first place? Surely there's a reason for that, right? What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet.
It's this newspaper article. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Humane Medical Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out, given that it was a government secret. It was all the Englishwoman's doing. What? It was when the professor and Soseki-san were being interviewed at the laboratory. The so-called English lady swaned in and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your guest would love to hear about your work on that substance there."
It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Soseki-san's curiosity has been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction.
So then, Soseki-san knew about the poison.
Yes, and it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too.
This Memo-san. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Oh, no, I don't remember the reporter being there.
Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there.
Oh?
A known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Soseki-san pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office.
Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. And then presumably he posted it anonymously to the police. Ah.
Yes, that must be what happened. Castle! We've just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial is about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. It's time to steel ourselves once again, then. Defense attorney of Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Yes.
One thing I really like about this game and Spirit of Justice is that you actually get to talk with the bailiffs. You actually get to see them talk personally to you. They actually come up to you and say, like, hey, get in the damn courtroom. But in, other games, they're just kind of like PNGs.
Ray's put her faith in me and now told everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that what she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day.
I don't know if there's going to be a 3-parter or a 2-parter yet. If I remember correctly, the last game, it was a 3-parter. I hereby call this court to order as we reconvene and continue the trial of Ray Mumbami. Yeah, not Ray Hino, different character. Prosecutor Ouchi, have you summoned the new witness?
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
Oh?
I burped.
What news? And why does he look so happy about it?
During the recess, with the collaboration of Professor Migatoba's laboratory, Yumi University, the police re-examined the knife that was used to end Miss Jazel Brett's life.
Excellent. I admire your rapid handling of the matter.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I had the Regent delivered to the police headquarters by rickshaw, so be there in no time. But judging by the man's swagger, I fear we may need to brace ourselves for the inevitable.
And Counsel, what were the results?
Now, I really need to take a sip of tea. I've been having these birthday cake flavored protein bars, and man, I don't know, I just feel kind of sick after having them. Man, I should not have them so early in the day. I should save those for like the evening, bro. Holy shit. Like, I just feel like I'm so upset now.
This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade.
What? Are you sure about that?
I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
On with the Regent, the test is extremely simple. They could have made a mistake. So, the murder weapon has been entered. Oh, yeah, we didn't have that yet, did we? A small knife from the scene of the crime that was found on the victim's back. No trace of poison was found on the blade, yet.
In short, the accused's feeble excuse earlier has been utterly destroyed. Now, the prosecution is ready to call the new witness.
Ah, the newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness.
No trace of poison on the knife. But if that's really the case, how could the toxin have entered the victim's body?
I think I have an idea on how. Oh boy, off to a frickin' great start already.
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
Writing Memo of the Shoyo News. I'm what people like to call a journo.
What's a journal, Father? Do you know?
It's simply a contraction of journalist. I mean, that's what I thought. I'm there where the news breaks, putting pen to paper and catch those scoops so they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of news. And he has his own theme song.
Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, was it?
Well, well, what have we here?
I'm sorry?
Oh, brace yourselves, people. Memo sends a scoop in the offing. Female student up to foul play, defended by curiosity handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The readers will lap this up. We'll set above the fold at 72 point and a 5-leg format for the morning edition.
Huh?
Right then, let's start with your name.
Oh, it's Ryotaro Naruhodo.
Next, what made you want to become a lawyer?
Well, I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose.
Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see.
I just followed Cosmo-san's dream for a while.
Oh, by the way, my name is Takesuchi Ouchi. That's Takesuchi Ouchi. The so-called dark horse of the Supreme Court. My objections strike fear into every defense lawyer's heart.
No, the readers won't buy that.
What?
Witness. Yes? What this court demands to know is whether or not you were responsible for taking this picture. It was delivered anonymously to the Imperial Police Bureau only yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't be a journal if I didn't click quick when I present with a scoop like that now, would I? Sometimes stories call out to me, sometimes I have to chase them down. But either way, you gotta be fast. Fast legs to run with, a fast hand to write with. It's no good if you don't note it down, I always say. That's what I call my minimism.
Memism?
That's a hard word to say. Oh yes, I remember your face. We met that day when you were interviewing myself and Saseki-san. Yes, that's right. That was me, Memo again. But you were supposed to be going back to the Shoyu news offices after our meeting. But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that Englishwoman's words have piqued my journalistic interest.
Miss Brett's words?
A criminal left to do as she pleases, just because she happens to be a British citizen? It's horse dung. This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. The Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. The police are just imperial pawns.
Stay your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play.
Huh. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here. Right here. Here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket. The people need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after them. To get the woman's story, so I could hammer her in the press. Do you mean to say that you indeed witnessed it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph? Oh yes, I saw it with my very own journal eyes. From start to finish. Through the viewfinder of my trusty camera. Yeah, your shitty camera with a crack in it. Thank you, Memo-san. You'll now give a formal testimony before the court. You'll state exactly what it is that you witnessed at the events surrounding Miss Brett's death. Oh boy, we gotta frickin' press this douchebag. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reel screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see through. The Englishwoman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the Englishwoman to the floor as she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal spirit burst into flames. Quick as a flash, I whipped out my camera, ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through the perfect shot. Good God.
Read screens, you say?
Right, you can see them clearly enough in that great shot I snapped. The hut walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat. And it was a breeze for me to poke my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up.
Ignoring for the time being the appalling invasion of privacy involved, did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defense didn't enter the hut?
Oh yes, I saw it. I saw the whole thing from start to finish.
And you say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens.
Luckily for me, they were pretty shoddily woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It was the gamble of a lifetime.
A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a journalist, I suppose.
Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's minimalism in a nutshell. At last, it would appear we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict.
No.
Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful.
Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question.
What question?
Exclusive news, a startling photograph, all the makings of an exceptional story for the reporter. Why then was the story never published?
Oh, that's right.
It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here that yet to be understood.
More pathetic excuses.
Very well then, Counsel. Proceed with your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Excellency. There's more to this reporter than meets the eye.
He's flexing.
He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest.
He's the killer. Calling it right now. Alright, well, time to press him.
Hold it!
What made you want to see what was happening inside the beach hut in the first place?
Call it journal instinct. Can you think of a better reason?
I don't know. Perhaps because as well as being a proven criminal, the person inside was a young woman?
Ah, I see where you're going with this. Brace yourselves, people. He's painting the journal as a voyeur.
It's hardly slander, sir. You had a camera and you were taking pictures without the woman's knowledge.
Nope, you got it all wrong, little student boy.
Sorry.
To my mind, all that was inside that hut was a scoop. Nothing more, nothing less. Scoops know no gender, man or woman. It's all news. That's not even minimalism. It's basic journalism.
If only the courtroom was as indiscriminate.
Well, you don't say. Right, so if that's all buttoned up, can we move on? Tell the court then, witness. What sight befell your eyes when you looked inside the hut? A sight that vindicated my journal instinct, that's what. When I pulled back the reeds, I could see it all as clear as day. Let's press that.
Hold it!
So you actually saw Membemi-san enter the hut?
Oh, yep. And she was raging. Raging like my journal spirit.
And the argument you mentioned, what was that about exactly?
You stole it. I didn't steal it. That kind of thing.
Talking about the poison, I suppose.
The student girl walked right up to the Englishwoman and really started laying into her. I mean, if she laid her into any more, there would have been eggs. The man should have been an author. His descriptive talents are wasted on journalism. But the student's rantings fell on deaf ears, like a Japanese person listening to English for the first time.
He really ought to work on his similes first, though, to be honest.
I read that as smiles. Whoops. Anyway, the point is, that woman in the dock was mightily angry.
And her temper finally got the better of her, it seems. Dear me.
Which was the climactic moment that I caught on film.
Hold it!
Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place?
The precise moment? I didn't see just that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out from start to finish.
I have here a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to court exactly what you witnessed.
Right you are. It's all here in my memo pad. Oh, this'll be some soup for the ages. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the Englishwoman was on this stool at the back of the hut here.
Yes, the accused's own testimony confirmed that.
She just sat at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly, is what I've been noted down.
It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt.
Oh,
Then, the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. The English woman went for with the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. And in a flash, plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other.
That doesn't make sense.
That's completely against what she frickin' said in her testimony. She said, like, she collapsed or something. What you describe as a grim scene and a grim crime indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what Menomoism says. Beach hut plan, huh?
by the way, Memo-san, whilst you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film?
Yeah, but that wouldn't make a very good journal, would it? Journals have to be observers. We can't get involved. That's our raison d'etre.
So you didn't converse with Miss Brett at all?
Obviously not. An observer always remains on the outside looking in. You know what I'm just now realizing? He's kind of like the fucking Clussy lady, where they both like pull on their straps constantly. I don't know why I freaking like caught on to that, but just something I figured I'd point out.
And that's something to be proud of, is it?
Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think the witness's last expertly phrased statement should perhaps be added to his formal testimony. Oh, here we go.
Father, what are you...
I'll grant the defense's request. Memo-san, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism's the foundation of Memoism. I'll gladly prove my words are meaningless. Fucking slap. I never once set foot in the hut, nor spoke with the Englishwoman. I was only there as an observer.
Hold it!
Let's press that.
Really? You didn't set foot inside the hut at all? Are you quite sure about that?
I think you may have found the wrong impression of me. We're talking about a murder scene here. My nerves were stretched to breaking point already.
Oh, I see. You were scared. Maybe I did have the wrong impression of you, yes.
It was all I could do to stifle a scream and hold my hand steady enough to snap the shot. You really should have summoned help before thinking of your camera. Metamemoism and humanism don't always agree. And most of the time in those instances, metamemoism comes out on top. As a sculptor of stories, sometimes I have to be cruel for my art, yes. That's spot on.
Surely he's making all this up.
He claims to have spied the whole affair from start to finish. If true, his testimony is devastating. But, wait.
But it doesn't seem as though he's holding something back, doesn't it?
If that's how you feel, I suggest that you trust your instincts and press him on everything he said. As you've no doubt seen many times before in your role as judicial assistant.
Yes, I have. I've seen witnesses like this pressed often. I know exactly what to do.
Alright, well, probably what I should do now is like look at my evidence, because I haven't examined any of these things yet. A label, I guess?
A label appears to be written in a foreign language that I don't know.
It's German, so your knowledge of English is going to be of little help here, I'm afraid.
Couldn't you have just written medicine on in Japanese? Then we'd all be able to read it.
German's the international language of medicine, my dear. But yes, I can certainly see the merit in labeling the bottle in Japanese. Though I'm not sure medicine would be entirely appropriate. Yeah, this is kind of the opposite, actually. Can I examine, like, the medicine itself, or what? Wow, there's, like, actually dead-ass nothing to examine here. Wow, okay. Well, the knife's gotta be important. Ah, yes, this must be the victim's blood.
Oh dear, blood's never a pretty sight, is it? I'm having to fight the urge to run it under a hot tap and get it clean.
You've always been facetious about cleanliness, haven't you? Or I guess cleanliness, not clean. Yeah, cleanliness.
I think this is something else, Father.
What about the handle? No, nothing? Just the blood? Dang, I really thought for sure there would be, like, something under the hilt, you know? And then... Oh, there's actually dead-ass nothing here. Is there anything... So I'm gonna have to frickin' press him on something here. Did I read... I don't know if I pressed this already.
Hold it!
Oh, I think I did read this one. I think I was looking at the fourth one then I need to read. Okay. It's not really an easy... There's not really an easy way to skip this, is there? I guess B works. Sure, we can watch this again, I guess. Alright, yeah, don't press the same statement more than once. Did I press this one?
Hold it!
The court's fully aware of your desire to capture the incident on film, I'm sure. But why then did you choose to post the photograph anonymously to the police?
I'm afraid I don't understand a word that's coming out of your mouth.
I'm asking why, as a journalist, you decide not to make a story out of the incident.
Think of me as a sculptor who makes art out of the sordid, private details of other people's lives. But I never discuss my own personal life on principle. I mean, that's basic Memoism.
It's not something to boast about.
No doubt your burning desire to see the truth exposed and justice done was what motivated you.
That's it. That's brilliant. My burning desire to see something or other exposed.
There has to be a good reason why he didn't think to write an article about what he saw, though.
By your own admission, you were outside the hut. How, then, did you manage to take the photograph? Ah, yes, that. I'm glad you asked. Alright, I pulled the weaves.
Hold it!
But the two women inside didn't notice.
Ha, obviously not. If they had, where would I be right now? In jail, that's where.
Which you think would make you reflect on what you were doing?
No! A journal's job is to collect little snippets of life as unobtrusively as possible. Leave nothing but footprints. Take nothing but photos. Yes, that's spot on.
Did he just make that up?
The point is, the witness risked his life and limb to obtain this photograph. And this photograph reveals the whole truth. There's nothing more to be said.
So he says, I never once set foot in the hut. So I have to present something probably on that. Well, shit. What can I even present, bro? I already pressed him for everything. The article? Probably not this. Wait a minute. Write in Memo. Wait, hang on. RM. Yo, hold up. Do I present the fucking pen?
Objection!
Oh my god. How did I not even think about that? Holy shit.
Memo-san, until now, I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in business of uncovering and publishing the truth.
You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Show You News on my arm. In a way, that's more metamorism.
Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth.
Oh shit.
What are you suggesting in these recommendatory words, Counsel?
Memo-san, do you recognize this fountain pen? This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died.
What are you...
If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. RM.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Ray Mambari.
Is it a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also RM?
No!
Write in Memo. RM.
That's horse dung! Can't you see? One of the central tenets of minimalism is being a pencil user.
And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain.
It would appear that you have rather carelessly left it somewhat recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse dung!
Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in the beach hut?
Objection!
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse.
Exactly. Show You News will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky.
The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky.
Huh.
And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell. Yes, there's another clue. A clue that has undeniable proof who its owner really is.
In that case, counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies.
Of course, Your Excellency. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is...
Let me open the pen first. Well, how do I get the cap off? It's not that, is it? It's probably the fact that there's nothing in the case, right? Let's try that.
Well, Memo-san, do you still deny it?
Let me see now. I think if I had to give a headline, it would be... Night Sky Stars cause counting confusion for cocky courtroom counselor.
Sorry?
Go ahead, Counsel. The stars await.
I wanted to tell you to return my courtroom until you have counted every one. Whoops. Okay, that wasn't it. I thought it had to do with the fact the barrel was empty. Oh wait, no, I'm stupid. I'm stupid. Fuck. It's the fucking emblem on the back of the pen. Okay, no, I got it. I feel like the case being empty is a clue though. But no, it's fucking this. I know that's gonna come into play at some point. I just don't know when.
As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize, Memo-san.
Goodness me! It's the emblem of the Show You News.
In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Show You News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly the stars of the night sky don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Memo-san, how do you respond?
No! Order, order! Explain yourself, witness. So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets.
I've used nothing but honest tactics.
Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfolded. I, a Show You news reporter on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the English woman.
An interview?
You never mentioned this before.
When exactly was this?
As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was a brief exchange. But it all came to nothing. And as we Memo say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However insignificant your deem it may be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You'll testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it. Yes, alright, but on one condition.
Condition?
In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume-san.
Soseki-san?
Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man. He has a secret of his own, and brace yourselves. It's not a harmless one, it's big.
What?
What?
Memo states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Very well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand.
Soseki-san, hiding something?
He's definitely not going to be very happy to be here. The witness's secrets. I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witness came running. The detective realized the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about his testimony, which is why Memo demands I reveal it now. Well, he didn't say shit, he just kind of stood there. You mean to say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness?
Hold on, I'm taking a drink again. That's much better, okay.
And when she did, you decided to ask her a question?
That's, true, yeah? He did, and that's not all. The woman gave him a very definitive answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. Look at her fucking, like, shimmy, bro.
This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack?
It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did pose the withering English Rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. The report is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut?
Oh, you know what I feel like we're gonna get introduced to again? We're gonna get introduced to, like, the what is it called? The, like, that thing where, like, the witness talks, and then the other guy is like, I just remembered something, and you have to, like, press him or whatever. I asked the English woman for an interview, but she declined. Oh, yeah, press that.
You asked her for an interview, you say?
Well, of course I did. I wanted to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year.
About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life?
That's not the way I phrased it. Memo calls for straight talking. Why did you murder Dr. Wilson, is how I put it to her.
Yes, that sort of talking is as straight as a ruler.
Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. It's the best way. A veteran at the paper taught me that.
And how did Miss Brett answer?
With one simple phrase. Mystery is a woman's charm. That told me, so I waltzed right out of there.
Really, something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together.
Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say. It's the best way. A veteran at the paper taught me that.
Hold it!
That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett had just turned you away.
Persistence wins the prize. Any memoist will tell you that. Let them think what you've left. Then lay them lower with their guard. That's when you swoop in for the scoop.
And the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Oh, I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence.
Actually, it's thanks to that photograph that we managed to identify this witness.
Now you found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I've got nothing to hide.
I'm sure.
Please, do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say.
Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm going to tell it.
Hold it!
This seems pretty important.
And Soseki-san remained behind the hut.
That's right, yep. Our other friend here was a blabbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes, mustache twitching, eyes bulging. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taunted me whilst traveling abroad? It's back behind baleful bars. They'll be coming for me, surely. That's all I could think. I felt as though I were grasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat. That looks like he's going to hug him.
Poor Soseki-san. His experiences in London have been scarred him deeply.
As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly recited a prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity. The end is coming for me, surely. No sutras or a sound in my courtroom, please. And now, we come to the crucial part. That's when it happened. No sutras in my court. Look at him look at him. He's like, eh.
Hold it!
What question? What exactly did he say?
Well now, you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer Man?
Out with that, you yokel hack. What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman?
Well, in truth, I've been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, young girls' panic-stricken cries for help pierced to the air.
Ray.
I ran up the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. And as soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan, a moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin.
But what did you ask us, Soseki-san?
I asked her, who did this to you? Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't. She said nothing in response. But... When in the stand, you'll answer the questions asked you and unambiguously. Why can't I say that word, damn it? Now, without evasion or reticence, I demand that you amend your testimony. I will! I asked her who did this to you, but she never replied.
Hold it!
Okay, let's press that then.
So you tried to find out who the culprit was.
He who asks a question is a fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. and having been labeled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Better to be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever.
However, you've indicated that the victim failed to respond, is that correct?
I know why. I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid mustache, because I'm Japanese.
Oh dear. Sasaki-san really has developed a dislike for the English, it seems.
Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at his xenophobia. But the Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all. Did she, Mr. Writer-Man? Huh, well, yes, alright. She did respond in a matter of speaking, I suppose. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant.
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant. Sasaki-san, is that really true?
It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, with the student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked, "Who did this to you?" the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling figure at the back of the hut, which was, can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl. What if, like, she was actually pointing past her, like behind the hut, actually, like, the guy that already left? It could be a misunderstanding.
No.
Sasaki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But what fiddlesticks, I say? This is not a British court of law. You'll respond in Japanese. Yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling. She was trembling, and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly. In a very different direction to where the girl was standing. Whoops, didn't mean to press that. Somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all.
You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear?
Yes, that's it. Unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Objection!
Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly, but there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no other one than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could have possibly committed this crime.
I am inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial.
No. No!
The headline's writing itself. The dashing lawyer's hopes dashed. 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition.
This is a serious blow, Susato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit, and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over.
But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know where the crime was committed yet.
Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need.
Ray gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed.
Alright, let's see. The Englishwoman was killed at the back of the hut. She suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor. How could... Wait, oh yeah, I guess I should probably read this in her voice.
How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Someone amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question.
I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add.
So, the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. Can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter.
This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish it really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim?
I know how.
Objection!
I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. His face.
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being.
Not beating. Oh, to what end, counsel?
The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection!
An alternative theory? Huh, none exists.
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed the crime.
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time. By mustering all her remaining strength, and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction. Fantasy.
Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, counsel, I'm prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryotaro Naruhodo,
Yes, Your Excellency.
you'll present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? I haven't saved in a while, so let me just do that real quick. Probably don't need to make a billion saves, but whatever. Right here.
Take that!
Naruhodo-sama never give up, and I'm an Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett, concealed in this location here.
Are you mad, counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut.
What?
Oh shit, I was right about that? Order, order, order! But student lawyer Naruhodo-san, Esquire! That makes no sense at all! You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snapped. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about, I can swear to that.
Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut, there's no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut.
Actually, Prosecutor Ouchie, there is a way.
Huh?
And in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence that strongly suggests this is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing. You're bluffing, you yokel.
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You'll need to give us more guidance, counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut? Shit. The beach hut plan? I actually don't know. Is it? Can I look? Did I look in the poison article again? Don't know about that. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut? What about the post-mortem report? Don't know if it's this. Crime scene photograph. There are footprints here. That is worth looking into. I don't think this has anything to do with it. I mean, it might, I don't know. Shit, I actually don't know. And it's not like he freaking threw a knife in there, did he? Nothing to do with the regent, I assume. All we have regarding the knife is just the fact that there's blood on it. Outside the hut. I don't fucking know, man. Do I just present the beach hut plan again? Maybe it's the incriminating photograph? Well, I mean, at this point, all we can do is just save and hope for the best, right? Because I'm too dumb to figure this out, apparently.
Take that!
Well, I presented it now, but I haven't the first idea why I chose this.
Okay, well... Well, that's, fuck up number 1. How many fuck ups are we gonna make this episode? It can't be the pen, can it? Or I could try the crime scene photograph?
Take that!
The original photographic print of the crime scene? Okay, so I think I maybe was onto something there.
Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from the outside the beach hut.
Objection!
Did you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing.
I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed that what I'm referring to.
Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is the trace of stabbing which you claim took place from outside the hut? Well, I mean, I'm not sure. From outside the hut? I feel like it might have something to do with the footprints, but I'm not sure. Outside the hut. I honestly can't tell. These photographic prints being in black and white does not make it easy either. Maybe I could try the footprints, see if that does anything. Let me just real quickly save. I want to try the footprints. Let's see.
Take that!
Well, it's right here.
This is some remnant of the attack that took place? Nope, you're a dumbass.
Proceeding your remarks with a spirited well won't give any more credence.
Oh shit, I fucked up. God damn it.
Well, it's time to reload your save, Counsel. You fucked up really badly. Whoops. This is how I play Great Ace Attorney. This has been the thing since the first game. Well, there is also the wine glass spilling here. Don't know if that has anything to do with it. Oh wait, what if it's the fact that there's a, like, knocked over wine bottle here? Could that be it, maybe?
Take that!
Nope. Shit. Might as well try everything and see what sticks, I guess. Is it the blood stain? I don't know, honestly. There's only so much I could try, right? I'm gonna try this then. Fuck. I don't know what exactly it wants me to press in here. Am I supposed to be looking for something here? Oh, wait, no, is it this little crack right here?
Take that!
I think that's it. I don't know why I didn't notice that immediately.
Look closely, just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, You can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds.
No, I can't. I can't see any such thing.
It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you'd expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them.
This is extraordinary. Wait, are you saying like she was sitting against the wall and then she got stabbed from behind? Damn.
Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut.
Huh.
And of everyone present at the scene, there's only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right in Memo-san, it could have only been you.
Oh, fuck yeah, this song.
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, the knife wouldn't fit through.
No, of course not.
Why not? We're not.
Well, I guess why not will work too.
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death.
Well, yeah, she was pulling out a knife. Oh, fuck, that makes so much sense.
A stool?
So she was sitting against the wall. Holy shit, that makes so much sense now.
Have another look at the photograph.
Have a look at this graph.
The slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of the person who was sitting on that stool.
My word. So, in fact, the victim was...
Killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen.
Ugh.
Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Mambami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge.
This is absurd.
Everybody shut up. That'll do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Mimbami-san, is innocent of the crime.
Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave.
I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this can't be. The Ouchi clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of hope? It wasn't all an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't.
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final verdict. Fucking hat face, man. Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals?
But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the read screen walls.
And no one but you was at place at the time to have had his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now.
Irrelevant.
Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, the trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else.
What are you talking about?
Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up.
What?
Enough of obscurity, and explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course.
The poison?
Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that the poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the pupil's eyes are a sure sign of the victim's pupils. Yeah, I guess. Not the pupil's eyes, dumbass. Are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. Yeah, we didn't prove how the poison was used yet. We only proved that she got stabbed. I see. So, presumably that means... that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed.
Ah.
Given that her pupils are clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. Okay, I'm gonna take a small break here so I can go pee, but I'll be right back, guys. Alright, I got my juice. I took a little bathroom break. I should be all good to go now. If you've been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
Ah, how refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely. It matters not a jot who stabbed whom and who's back with whose blade. Because quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
Objection!
But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already...
Objection!
Nope, dumbass. Forgot already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever.
So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turned out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right?
Well...
Order. But where does this leave us? How in that case did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniable obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it.
You mean she drank it?
Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see. Oh, shit. Yeah, you're right. A bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked over the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into there, either.
So somebody made Miss Brett drink it.
Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Hold it!
Established? What are you talking about?
Huh? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you.
Me? What on earth does he mean?
Ooh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is a prime press fodder, this is. It would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet, after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journal and I'm a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now, because that's Menomism.
For a brief moment, I thought I eliminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us?
Well, you know, Soseki has not said jack shit about this. Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and it's the very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts were going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have seen justice done. That's it? That's all you have to say, bro?
So, you admitted then that everything happened as I described? That you were the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen?
You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of the charming lady's back, I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really, really awful about getting false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got her before me. That's right, you guessed it. The pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart.
You're implicating Ray again.
She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap, this journal here is off the hook. The argument's sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
And therefore, this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical.
That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last.
This is unbelievable. And after I've made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he gonna get away with it now? Think of Cosmo-san and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel.
Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Oh, but is it really the final one? Somehow I doubt that. Oh yes! Let's press that.
So you do admit that you had murderous intentions towards Miss Brett, then?
That woman's very existence offended my sense of justice.
Your sense of... He's feeling some sort of righteous indignation.
She was pure evil, a cold-blooded killer who committed murder right here on our Empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance. So I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice. Put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it.
So in summary, murderous intentions, then?
Whatever you want to call it. The point is this. The Englishwoman's was a blight. So I had to do what was right for society.
Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock, a crime for which she must pay.
Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all. Because why would I bother to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her?
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim?
Obviously, that'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you already were wearing braces like these.
The accused administered the poison, following which the witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see, yokel. Who knows, you may even learn something here today.
2 consecutive attempts at our life in the space of minutes. Quite a day for the victim. Do something that evil and you've got it coming. That's how the law works, the law of reckoning.
That's not the kind of law this court upholds.
You'll reiterate what you were compelled to stab the victim then, witness.
What exactly were they arguing about?
About what had happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. That student girl was laying into the English woman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, Dr. John H. Wilson. The professor of medicine invited here from England by Professor Mikitoba, no less. Right, but the English woman just jeered.
Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in the Shanghai. However, there's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman.
It was eating that girl stewing up inside, you could see it. I really felt for her.
Oh, is she gonna intervene? I can't. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray.
Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it.
No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of something very important testimony here. You just keep quiet and listen.
But this awful man is making all this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen.
Return to the dock at once, Mimbami-san. We're in the middle of a cross-examination.
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. The journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly. He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom.
Whoa, take it easy there.
Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say.
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks.
I will grant the request of the defense.
But Your Excellency...
This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
Oh, now we're getting somewhere. It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison. Okay, let's talk about that then.
The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson.
That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it'd be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true. I pestered Professor Mikitomo until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we've been developing, you see. And since Soseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singular, terrible experience with deadly poison. I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that.
To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government, even. It would be a complete disaster.
Well, that's true. We know about that. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Ah, yes. Memo-san, one small question if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article. Well, you'd heard. Stop yawning. I always yawn when I voice act for some reason. I don't know why. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of the Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, look at this. The entire article is almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word.
What?
Well, Memo-san,
As a journal, and as a citizen of free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's the founding principle of minimalism.
Father's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based it upon what he overheard from outside of the hut.
Oh shit. Memo-san based it on information he gleaned by eavesdropping.
So that's what this is all about. You're trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came with that stinking story about me arguing with her.
Shut up. My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want it to go on record. Very well. You may amend your formal testimony. The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to go and then stab the person as well.
Hold it!
Perhaps you doubted the efficacy of the poison, and sought to make sure your victim would die.
That's a horse dung.
What?
That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you'd even tasted it. Completely reckless. Although, it might surprise you to learn that I'm a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer as it happens.
Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to be a good reason for that.
If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut.
Yes, that's undeniable.
But between him and leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation.
Sorry, what change?
The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman.
Ah, yes, that's it. That's when Memo-san first found out the exact nature of the poison he'd used. That could be the key here.
If the victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable.
But there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder.
If we could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for.
Yes, I agree. And in order to do that, I must try to glean more information.
So probably, we probably gotta press the last one, right? Isn't there something about the poison written here? Even the smallest amount... Oh, here, I think it's right here. Even the smallest amount entering the body either via the mouth or via a wound from a poison-laced blade will prove fatal. Do I just present the poison article?
Objection!
Because a wound would make the, poison fatal.
Well, I can think of one reason.
What?
But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut?
Of course he did! There can be no question of that! After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin.
And there's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Minbami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, Counsel?
Memo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it.
Ugh.
Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have embedded the poison while the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san into the hut. Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Memo-san overheard some worrying information.
Worrying information? What worrying information?
The information about which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy, and that it couldn't be readily obtained.
Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death.
Oh shit. I don't know if this has been proven already, but what if maybe Giselle didn't take the poison, in fact, fucking Memo took it instead?
The extreme constriction of the pupils, yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by the use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Also, I didn't point it out until now, but I really love the fact that she slams her hand on the table like Kazuma does. I don't remember if Naruhodo does that, but I think that's pretty cool that she does that. Ah. Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for a nefarious deed. Membami-san being no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whomever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, right in Memo. It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake, because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. As you listened...
Wait, wrong voice.
As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the Reese screen.
But what good could that possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect.
Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he'd hoped to precipitate the victim's death, but before that happened, didn't he?
Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one could have ever been suspected.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use. Which he attempted to do by plunging the knife into the middle of the victim's back.
Order, order, order! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied with what it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument that it wishes to put forward?
Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely.
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he's clinging to lost hope.
Lost hope!
Who's holding it? What the fuck? You pathetic, useless, fallen samurai!
Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning growth is on the rise.
I don't need a counter-argument.
What? What are you talking about?
It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say? Gave it to the victim, you say? Stabbed her, you say? Lots of fine theories. I don't need a counter-argument, because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? Without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, in many memos, every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Show You News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. Yeah. How the fuck do you get the poison out? How's that then? Blown the story wide open? See? I, Ryan Memo, a mere reporter from the Show You News. Couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory.
But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case, as you've identified, the poison itself is definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here.
What's your point, you annoying handsome country bumpkin?
My point is this. There's only one way that you, Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day.
I've heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in questioning? Shit. Oh, dude. What about this? What about this?
Take that!
I knew this was gonna come into play.
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen.
A fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant? I knew this would come into play at some point.
These magical pens somehow have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now.
I swear by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad.
Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Suck up a soup can of sumptuous ink, and one's work is awash with words at the blink of an eye.
That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later.
What does all this talking of sucking up ink have?
Oh! And just as it's possible to suck up ink in the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course.
My word. Can this really be?
Well, Memo-san, when you saw the deadly poison for your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison through the nib and into the pen's reservoir.
Oh!
Objection!
More absurdity! That never happened!
True, we've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like that from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places?
No, I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say.
I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Memo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped?
Are you suggesting?
The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison into her glass.
Objection!
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down the details of conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
Objection!
No, that can't be. As if it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink?
What?
As you can see for yourself, if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass.
Witness, what do you have to say in your defense? So this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? Oh shit, he's doing the Sakuya thing. I can always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. Ah! You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen? That's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, this situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. No such evidence could possibly exist.
Objection!
Memo-san, this is how our modern justice system works.
What?
In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you.
Very well then. I call upon the defense to prevent the aforementioned evidence.
This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to seal the poison.
We could use the chemical reagent.
Take that!
Counsel, what is that bottle?
This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question.
Oh!
Yes, that poison is entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method.
Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison.
A reagent? What?
One drop of the contents of this bottle and tip of your fountain pen, Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Oh, no, you can't. I won't.
Your crimes are bad enough, but at least no one to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once.
Oh. Oh. This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold high in civilization. By bowing its power's whim, I took up arms from my tower family. In the name of justice and righteousness. Yeah, restrain him.
Susanna, with me. I'm there.
Oh!
Did I do it right? That was a solid takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryotaro takedown.
Damn. Fucking get him, bro.
The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present.
When I saw it there in the lab, poison. The devil got a hold of me, and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully.
And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen.
Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose?
Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of, and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up.
Then why did the English woman end up dead?
I went into that hut intending to quiz her on her situation. That's all. As a reporter. A known killer enjoying full freedom. Evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face. Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman permitting to practice journalism? Really? You must learn the difference between reporting and listening to doorways. You ignorant plebeian. What did you call me? This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, is really very depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from. That's what I remembered. About the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time.
What a terrible tale.
In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she's done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journal spirit, getting all fired up. I'd like to ask you something. Yes? You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what happened in the courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean?
I remind you of your position, witness. Be careful what you say.
Oh, come on! Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet that puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away in the sunset, a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I've done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up.
He came under pressure from the government, you mean?
If our government is going to let the criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see what justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Memo-san, that you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose.
It would appear that we've reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Oh. Yes. Sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way here.
It's almost unbelievable this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Oh, Ryunosuke, you mean?
The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one, it gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land.
That's very flattering, Your Excellency.
Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Ouchie, do you have any final thoughts? What the fuck is he doing?
Well, Prosecutor Ouchie?
I, Takesuchi of the Ouchi clan, have been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it is withered and died here today.
Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it?
Silence! Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that is the true path of altruism.
Ouchieism?
One hopes that the only way he'll be modeling himself after the witness.
Sprig of my top knot. The time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Takesuchi.
He's gonna cut his hair. Wow. If only cutting hair was that easy. Isn't this Cosmo's theme? Interesting, they decided to remix his theme. Now, in regard to defendant, Rei Mambami-san.
Yes, Your Excellency.
I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you not guilty. Oh yeah. Hooray! The cherry blossoms. Court is adjourned. Oh man, that was a really good fucking first case. I swear, they just keep outdoing themselves. Every first case just keeps getting better with every game.
It's over. My heart's still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! Thank you. Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Rei and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... Oh no, I think I'm gonna cry. It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end, too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Rei. So I would have had to say that the congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over, so no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... what? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryutaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to the milk bar tomorrow. Or something. Right, I see. I'll, think about it, Rei. At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man. It feels so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Is there anybody else we could throw together?
I hope you're not looking at me, Rei.
Oh my goodness. No, of course not. Of course not. Ah, there it is at last. Rei's lovely smile.
You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you, defense attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryutaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but It's back to Susato Mikotoba now. So, I'll never see him again then? What a terrible shame.
Ah! Oh, these guys. What is happening? Wait, wrong voice.
Soseki-san and Inspector Hosonaga. I do hope you've been keeping well.
Is that really you?
Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons I hope, but it's me. Susato Mikotoba.
I don't... So dashing, so divine. No. Doubly dashing, yes. And devilly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea, Miss Susato-san Esquires, that you were Locum student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin. Astonishingly astounding, Ace Attorney.
Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself a great fame as an author.
I'm stunned. That's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea. I'm a chief inspector of the police bureau who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see.
Just two, really, and this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector.
Well, I'm a professional, of course.
I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes, I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Though that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama?
From my perspective, I have to admit, I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth's been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes. It was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes. That man I invited to Japan personally. Now I'm gonna get some fucking lunch after this. I'm starving, bro. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now the culprit herself is dead. We'll probably never know the answer.
On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter. With Mr. Sherlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean.
Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Huh! My arch-nemesis. How lightly you utter his name.
Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of Dr. John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again.
As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around that time you were born.
Yes, grandmother told me about it.
Once, on returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial University. But I also serve another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs.
Yes, I was aware of that as well.
In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you.
Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said you collapsed with a high fever, and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way, or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of.
Dear me, do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't. Oh, let me go!
Memo-san. So, one throw was enough for you?
I've got one last thing to say before they take me away, Professor. Me?
I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what it went on. In that visiting student's fate.
Visiting student?
Giselle Brett, you mean? No, not her! The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago! Student of law? He must mean... Kazuma-sama. What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on the steamship, and that he'll never... Oh! Dude, the fucking judge?
Well, I didn't expect to find him in here.
Wow, it's so weird seeing the judge from this angle.
What were you officers playing at?
Terribly sorry, Your Excellency.
I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugen, and it's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him, and I'll be there shortly.
Oh, Your Excellency.
Ha 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 ha! The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jigoku. And may I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Susato?
Did you know all along, from the start of the trial?
Ha 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 ha! A judge sees everything, Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Seishiro here hadn't known and he'd recognize you, so I had word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father.
Sorry, my dear, we shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did it admirably.
Oh, thank you very much.
What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? Been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha 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 ha!
Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett, about Dr. Wilson, and now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime, when nobody else is around. Judicial Assistant Mikatoba-san, Esquires, could I have a word? Oh, yes, of course, Suzaki-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be a fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need you to tell you. Oh? I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear. Please, Please, Suzaki-san, tell me at once. I will. As you know, my time in England was terrible, cursed. I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Arahoto-san Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back to my homeland.
Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikitoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report.
My father?
He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent the telegram to ask you, asking you to return to Japan.
What was it then? That particular part my father was interested in?
I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those 2 terrible cases I was caught up in?
Of course, I could never forget.
Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case.
The second one? You mean the one Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public was aware of is the first.
Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that that case somehow holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. That horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings.
That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan? I thought that whole business was over, but it seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
Oh man, I'm tired. I'm tired from that. Damn.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san.
Oh, there's her theme song.
But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Aw, that's cute. Really good. I love it when Ace Attorney games, they let you play as someone else for the first case, and that was a really great example of that. Yeah, I got achievement, baby! Alright, well, let's save. Alright, well, you guys might not believe me, but my hands are fucking trembling from, like, malnourishment. I, like, actually need to go get something to eat right now, like, really badly. Like, for the past half an hour, my fucking hands were just, like, weak and numb. So, I really need to go get something, like, lunch. I guess it's not really lunch yet, but I just need something really badly, bro. Alright, well, anyways, that was a fantastic first case, though. I know I keep saying that, but man. And I thought the first case of the first game was good, but yeah. I really liked playing as Ryutaro. Now, I will say, I actually did know about Ryutaro before I, like, played the game. However, I didn't know it was Susato in disguise. I just assumed, like, oh, Ryutaro is, like, a descendant or, like, something of, you know, Ryunosuke. You know, I thought it was, like, Ryunosuke's, like, dad or some shit. I don't know, from, like, previous years. But no, it's, much to my surprise, it's just Susato in disguise. But, that's cool, though. It's cool that you get to play as her, and it's the first time we really get a female defense attorney since, like, I guess Spirit of Justice? Except in that game, you don't really play as Athena much. So I mean, there's some to female defense attorneys, but it's always nice when there's more. More is better. All right, well, much to my surprise, the first case was only 2 parts. So I guess when I come back to Great Ace Attorney 2, we'll be starting the second case, which, if it's anything like the first game, it's going to be exclusively investigation, which is going to be neat. Pretty cool. And then once we get to the third case, I'm assuming we'll be in London. I don't know. I'm just assuming it's going to, follow a similar format as the first game. But anyways, I'm probably going to make some pizzas or something, and we might play something today. I don't know who I'm going to play with. Maddie might bug me. You never know. Alright, well, anyways, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Twitch. And I will see you guys potentially later today. If I don't end up playing anything in the afternoon, then I will definitely play something at nighttime. I'm hoping I end up playing maybe Mega Man Powered Up again. We can continue that. So yeah, I'll see you guys then.